Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode I'm going to be going over getting this new aluminium tray all mounted up onto the back of the FJ45, as well as telling you about why I decided to go with the alloy tray over the steel tray that I purchased previously. I know I've missed the last couple of uploads, and that's due to not having any new content filmed, and I didn't want to split this video into multiple parts. With that out of the way, let's go back in time and show you how I got this tray all mounted up. Alright, so I've finished making up all the mounts now and bolted them all on. So now I've just got the tray sitting here ready to go on, and we're going to lift it over onto the cab now. Once I've removed the little bit of C-section from the front of the tray up here, the little front mount there, because I've replaced that and made it out of steel C-section over here. So okay, so we've got the tray all test fit up on the car now, and this is what it looks like. It's not bolted on, we're just sitting the tray on so we can mark up all the holes to drill the mounts through onto the steel, and also drill it through the aluminium tray so that I can take the tray off, sand down all the mounts and paint them up. Alright everyone, so we got all the mounts drilled out on the car behind me here. I've also drilled them out on the tray as well, so the tray is actually ready to bolt on. But what I've got to do now is pull all these mounts off, sand them down, prep them, and then I'm going to paint them in a gal primer, and then I'll top coat that with chassis black to match the rest of the chassis so it blends all in, and then lift the tray on, bolt it on, and start fixing up some of the little imperfections on the tray. Alright, so I just got all these 4 mounts and the C-section mount primed, sanded them all down, and they're primed. I got to flip the C-section over and paint the other side of that as well, but the rest of them have had 2 coats, so I'll flip that over and paint that tomorrow morning, as well as I've still got to sand down this bit of C-section and the rear bar that goes right across. Okay, so I've got all the holes drilled out in the C-section on the bottom of the tray here, ready to bolt on. So now I've just started cutting the back of the tray. It had been dinted in, so I cut all that stuff off, and I essentially just followed this line here all the way down with the grinding disc, and cut all the way down to here. Now this bit's all in my way, and it's really hard to get off because of the little pin there for the sides. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to cut this whole backing plate off the C-section, because it's just a little cap and it's all dinted in. It looks worse than if it was just straight C-section, I think. So and obviously to make that look symmetrical, I'm going to get a grinding disc, knock that little weld off there, and cut this little rivet, or whatever you call it, off, and clean that up. And then I'm probably going to start trying to make some room for my tail lights and decide on which tail lights I'm going to use. So I've just had a bit of a change of plan. I've decided to cut this rear mount that I'm going to use for the tray into smaller sections. So that's the one that goes right across the back of the chassis here, and I'm going to cut it just enough so that I can put a winch plate on the back of the chassis here. So I'm going to get a winch plate that sits between these 2 chassis rails and bolts onto the back, so I can run a rear winch as well as a front one. I'm not necessarily going to buy a rear winch straight away, I'm just going to buy the plate and put it there, so I can chuck it on later on if I do end up wanting to. So now I've cut up the back mounts here, and they're the right size, so now I've just got to file them down, sand them up, and paint them with the Gal spray paint, the same one that I used on these 4 mounts. Those 4 mounts are ready to bolt on, and I've got the C-section mounts all painted up. One's just ready to go on once it's dry, and the other one needs a second coat. But now I'll go and sand these down and get the first coat on these. Okay, so I've just got the second coat of Gal paint on all of these mounts now. And now I'm going to wait for these to dry and move on to top coating them all with chassis black. Alright, so my iPad overheated when I was top coating the mounts with the chassis black, and it skips ahead now to where the mounts are all bolted on and the tray's sitting on. So here's a few photos of what that looks like. I think it looks absolutely awesome from the back, and it's going to look sick from the side too once I fix up the headboard. And I'm now going to go over why I decided to go with the aluminium tray over the steel tray that I purchased previously. Alright, so I decided to go with the alloy tray here over the steel tray that I purchased previously for a few reasons. The first being weight. The alloy tray here weighs literally like a fifth of the weight of the steel tray that I have over there. The steel tray would take at least 4 people to lift up, and this one here was pretty easy to do with 2. I also chose this tray because it's shorter, so it won't actually affect the departure angle on the vehicle. The tow ball wrecks it a lot more than the tray will. I might take the tow bar off in future for forward driving, but for now it's staying on there because I like the look of it. As well as, this tray is going to save me a lot of money in the long run because I'm not going to have to paint this tray like I'd have to paint the steel one. The steel one would probably cost me about $500 or $600 in Raptor liner to do it properly. As well as, this tray is not going to stay forever, and the other steel tray wasn't going to either. Eventually I'm going to make up my own custom tray with built-in sliders and a bunch of other features, but for now I'm just trying to get the car on the road, so this tray will do plenty good. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you made it this far, please make sure to go down below, leave a like and subscribe, as it'll really help the growth of this channel. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.